And welcome back to the Financially Simple Experience. Today I want to deal with decentralization. Often I say that we business owners have to remove ourselves from the epicenter of our business. But one of the areas that I often don't speak to is how do we decentralize ourselves from the business? How do we move ourselves from the epicenter of the business through leadership? Leadership is one of those things that there have been dozens, hundreds, if not thousands of books written about. I think I probably have on the shelf behind me. For those of you watching us on YouTube, I probably have at least a dozen leadership books. There are some famous authors that I'm going to quote today, and many others that I don't quote today that have written leadership books that try to help us, as in humans, lead others. But as small business owners, leadership is one of those things that if we're truthful and if we're honest with ourselves, really kind of frustrates us. How many times have you said, well, they just don't do it the way I do it? Or, I can't trust them with this level of responsibility. Or perhaps you say it this way, employees drive me crazy. I mean, let's be candid. As business owners, we have so many of these cliches that ultimately fall underneath the category of leadership. So I want to deal with leadership specifically on how we can decentralize ourselves through leadership. I first want to deal with a theory called top-down versus bottom-up. Now, top-down leadership is the way that most of us as business owners operate our company. We have this hierarchy, or we have this dictatorship, or as they've even said in the past, a benevolent dictator. We come up with the strategies, we come up with the ideas, we hire everybody, and we dictate what we want our serfs, if you're being candid, our employees, if you're being nice, our servants, if you're being truthful of how you would look like in a top-down leadership, what you want your, quote, servants to do for you. But that's the way so many small business owners approach leadership. Leadership is about me telling them what to do. That's top-down leadership. Bottom-up leadership is different. According to Torch, and we'll have a link to this, bottom-up management occurs when goals, projects, and tasks are informed largely by employee feedback. You see, whenever we have a bottom-up leadership style, we're listening to what employees are seeing through their eyes. We're listening to what they think needs to be accomplished. We're listening to what they feel like needs to be tackled next. There's a study called the iceberg of ignorance, which says that only about 4% of relative facts that really matter to leadership actually makes it to the top. Because those of us at the top, those CEOs or business owners or executives, those of us in that position often finds ourselves in a top-down leadership style. So my first point to you is if we can move our mindset away from top down to bottom up, to where we have leadership actually taking place at the front line, then we have decentralized ourselves. We've put a harmony amongst those around us who really know what's going on. One of the shows I love to watch on TV is called Undercover Boss. And I've seen several episodes of it. And it's always amazing how the CEO of the company reacts when they see what's truly happening on the front lines of their business. In a small business, it may be you and one other person, or it may be you and a small team, and that's okay. You don't have to have 400 or 500 employees like some of these big businesses that we see on Undercover Boss. But the same principle applies. Bottom-up leadership, or bottom-up management leadership is what I want to say, occurs when the goals of the company, the projects of the company, and the tasks of the company are informed largely by the employee feedback. So let me ask you first and foremost, do you find yourself in a top-down management style or top-down leadership style, or in a bottom-up? If you want to decentralize yourself in the business, you need to move yourself into a bottom-up theorem of business leadership. John Maxwell, with all of his wisdom, which I love reading John Maxwell's books. He's written several. One of his books is called The 5 Levels of Leadership. And in this book, he he illustrates that there are 5 different levels. And I want to walk through the 5 levels that John Maxwell in his book, The 5 Levels of Leadership, talks about. But I want to apply it to us in our small business community. Level 1 is called position. Basically, it's the lowest level of leadership. It's an entry level, if you will. It's basically you have a position. Maybe you're a crew leader. Maybe a crew leader on your team has a position. Maybe on an org chart, they're not the very bottom box on the chart. They're the one up. So that'd be a leader by position. So in every company, there is a leader by position. That's a given. But quickly we move from position to permission. Level 2 is all based on relationships. It's at this level where people choose to follow who they want to follow because of ability, because of passion, because of desire, because of whatever. So where permission comes into play is you could be the very bottom of the box on the leadership chart. You could be the entry level, and there could be 3 or 4 entry level positions or boxes on the org chart. And because of permission, because of one's ability or relationship or level, cohorts or equals on the organizational chart choose to elevate leadership amongst their peers. So leadership by permission. This also works in the permissionary style to where just because you have position doesn't mean the people that you're managing actually give you permission of a leader. You have to earn that. How many times have we seen people, maybe it's employees within your own company, maybe it's you, that because you have the title, but you haven't quite yet earned the permission to be a leader by those that you should be leading. So that's level 2. Level 3 is where I have to say most business owners fall into. We never make it to level 5. We obviously have the position of the business owner, and then we get permission because the employees want to keep their job. But ultimately, we stagnate as business owners in level 3, as John Maxwell illustrates, called production. Production is all about getting things done. It's those who illustrate the results of their abilities. The results is the key word there. In production, people see that you have the ability to accomplish something. Therefore, they want to connect themselves to you, so they give you leadership by your ability to get things done. That's where, candidly, I see so many business owners stagnate. We have the ability to sell. We have the ability to attract employees. We have the ability to talk about the product or the service that we offer. But yet we stagnate on production and we never move to number 4, which is people development. See, the leadership of number 4 means you now have identified and are beginning to develop people by investing in them and helping them grow. Let's be candid. How many of us listening to this particular podcast truly, deeply invest in the development of our team? I'm talking about spend money on their education, not making them do it. Truly invest in them by showing them exactly what you do. And you say, well, Justin, they could steal my ideas. They could steal my thoughts. They could go out and create competition against me. Yeah, you're stuck in level 3. But what I've discovered in my own business is as I begin to develop people, and number 4, it actually creates freedom for me, the business owner. And friends, I got to tell you, I talk with so many business owners that are stuck in the scarcity mindset of level 3 production, as John Maxwell illustrates, that we never receive the true freedom of level 4 people development. Now, I know many people who've ever arrived at level 5, which is the pinnacle. That's the top. That's the top of the production. It's called the pinnacle. So John Maxwell often alliterates things. So he says number 1 is position, number 2 is permission, number 3 is production, number 4 is people development, and number 5 is the pinnacle. And there's your alliteration using 5 different P's. The pinnacle of leadership requires a long time and intentionality. It doesn't come easy, as John Maxwell says. It requires longevity. And it requires doing something, investing in people's lives over years, over decades, over a long time. And at that point, we truly reach the pinnacle of leadership. You know, I've often heard the stories, and I've seen this even in my own father's life, where people work for decades at a company. and they retire, and one or two or three of their friends show up. But how many of us have experienced a funeral where some would-be nobody in particular, passed away, but yet the procession line, the church house, if you will, is busting at the seams of people coming to pay this respect? Maybe it was a coach that impacted people for decades in a small town, and now the whole town throws a life celebration for them. That is the pinnacle of leadership. So when we think about decentralization, in order to remove yourself from the center of the business, we cannot stagnate at position, permission, or production, according to John Maxwell. We've got to get down to people development. We've got to intentionally invest in our team and not just do it haphazardly, intentionally identify and develop the team around you. And by doing so, you removed yourself from the epicenter of the business. Now, Jim Collins wrote a book that I've often quoted, that I've researched, and I've even seen in many classes, called Good to Great. And in his book, Good to Great, he identifies the 5 levels of leadership. And he gives basically a hierarchical chart that one builds upon the other, if you will. So level 1 is that of a highly capable individual. That's the level 1 leader. Sounds very similar to what John Maxwell was saying. These are highly capable individuals who work and are talented, knowledgeable, and skilled, and they're very effective in the workplace, and people see them and they want to be a part of it. More than likely, if you're a business owner, you're highly capable. You're a skilled technician, or you're a skilled manager, or you're a skilled entrepreneur. And so people are automatically attracted to you, the person, because of your capabilities. But see, that can be an entry-level position. I was just having a very fun conversation with one of our junior advisors or young advisors. And man, he is highly capable, unbelievable talent. But he's also moved from highly capable to now he's also a number 2, according to Jim Collins. Jim Collins is a contributing team member. He's not only highly capable, but now he's investing in others. He's proficient, and he's helping others within each of their teams. He's contributing. He's not this there as a freeloader. I've worked with some people in the past, as of late, who want to freeload on my abilities. They never will move from even they may never make it to a leader. They could be highly capable, but they never contribute. Now, I have to say, as a business owner, more than likely you've already moved from highly capable to contributing because you're showing people how to do their job, hopefully. If you've been listening to me for any period of time, I know that I've been trying to preach into you on how you should invest in your team and how you should invest in your company. But ultimately, you can move from the contributing team member, as Jim Collins says, to level 3, which is the competent manager. And so you could potentially oversee people, resources, or help them reach their goals, as Jim Collins illustrates. Now, you say, Justin, I'm a good technician. I'm a good entrepreneur. I'm not a good manager. And you would be saying what I would say. I know how to effectively oversee people. I can effectively see where they want to be, and I think I can get them there. But I hate being a manager. That is like the one thing that drains me personally. So I want to go from number 3 as a business owner to number 4, which is an effective leader that is steering the entire company or the team to a specific goal. That's what I want to do. And that's where I think my skill set is I can cast a vision and I can orchestrate an organization to reach that goal. I can recognize the strengths and weaknesses within the players. I know who good managers are, and I know who good, competent, contributing team members are, and I can recognize where they are on Jim Collins' ladder, if you will, the hierarchy of leadership. Let me ask you the question right now. Are you stagnated at competent manager, or are you truly an effective leader, being able to steer an entire company or entire department to a well-defined specific goal? Ultimately, if we're trying to reach level 5, according to Jim Collins, we want to be truly the, quote, executive. The executive. Now, he wrote the book for big companies with the idea of running the corporate ladder. But for us small business owners, those of us who are in my peeps, as I say, under $10 million of annual revenue for the size companies that we run, maybe we're best in class, but we're just in a small business community. Do you truly hold the title of the CEO? Not by title, but by action. And I have to tell you, friends, that so many business owners stop at level 2. They never move to a competent manager. Heck, they never get to the effective leader, moving the entire company to a well-defined, compelling goal. They never get there because they can't define their own goal. Very seldom, though, do I find business owners who are true executives. What is a true executive? They have the unique, and I'm quoting Jim Collins here, they have a unique capability to develop a company's greatness. Look at what they changed. Now they're not steering a team. Now they're developing a company's greatness through what Jim calls the paradoxical combination of personal humility plus professional will. I love how he puts those two words together. Paradoxical combination. Because it is a paradox. How can you have personal humility but professional will or professional tenacity? It seems contradictory, and that's where he coined those two words, paradoxical combination. I love that. See, if you're truly going to sit as the executive of your organization, then you have to develop the company, which entails the team and all the other areas of business, for greatness. You have to have personal humility. One of the ways you display that is through admitting that you don't know everything. You hire coaches to come in and help you. I was talking with somebody today that says they have humility, but they don't. They're a business owner that wants to scale, but they won't because they can't get out of their own pride. So they don't have that personal humility because they know everything. They're the business owner. They're the ones with their hands on the steering wheel driving the proverbial business truck. And they're not going to give any of that glory to anybody else on their team. They have professional will. And because they have the professional will to do it, they run over everybody on their team. And they have high turnover ratios of their business. They're not even a contributing team member, but they think they're the executive. Friends, if you want to decentralize yourself in business, and leadership is one of the ways you can do that, we need to take a hard look at what Collins and Maxwell identify. These guys are giants in the business world. They're identifying the fact that oftentimes we stagnate. Where are you right now with John Maxwell's alliterated 5 P's, position, permission, production, people development, or Pinnacle? Where are you? And do you have a plan to move up the chain? Or perhaps you're looking at the levels of leaders that Jim Collins writes about in his book, Good to Great. Are you highly capable? I bet you are. Are you contributing? I bet you are. Are you a competent manager? If you're not, could you hire a competent manager and become an effective leader? Identifying well-defined and compelling goals to get the organization functioning at high levels of performance. Could you do that? If not, you're going to need some help. Just like Fortune 500 companies do, they hire consultants to come in. Hire a consultant to come in and help you. That's what we do. We can help you in this area. Ultimately, friends, as a business owner, we want to all strive to be the pinnacle. We want to strive to be that pinnacle that John Maxwell mentions, or the true executive that Jim Collins mentions. Friends, if we truly grasp this, then we can remove ourselves from the center of the business. But it won't happen by accident. We first have to know where we're at with a true assessment, and then have a plan devised to get us to that next point. And without a plan, will you ever truly grow the company to the value that you desire? I highly doubt it. Friend, I hope that makes you think. Look, I realize life is hard. It is. And life is frustrating. It doesn't have to be. We're going to continue to make our lives at least financially simple. If you find yourself stuck, reach out to us. Our team can help you.